This video is the culmination of my entire running career so far. The reason I quit my job and moved to Japan to pursue a delusional dream. In the very first video I ever made on this YouTube channel, I laid it all on the line. And if you stay to the end, I'll talk about what the next steps are on this quest to become the world's least talented runner to ever turn pro. Let's get it. Well, I guess I finally got it, because today is the proof that hard work beats talent, as I'll be revealing which brand I'm signing a pro deal with. So what exactly makes me the least talented? Well, there's a number of different ways we can measure talent, but for me, I think it comes down to raw speed, raw ability without training. How much natural speed do you have? Well, in my case, not a lot. I mean, yes, I'm obviously talented, but there's different levels to it. When you look at the absolute top guys, all the pro runners out there, the elites, you compare their natural ability over the shorter distances like 1500, 5K, they're absolutely tearing me apart. And at the end of the day, speed is the most important factor for any distance, because that's your natural limiter. Like for me, trying to run a sub 2:10 marathon, that's 3:05 per K. When my flat out 5K race pace is about 2:55 a K, you can see there's a little bit of an issue there. The gap is just too small. And when you look at like the British rankings, for example, I'm way down when it comes to 5K. Like when you look through the age groups as a junior, I was obviously pretty talented, but I was never like right near the top. There was definitely no indication that I would be able to like make it or go pro or anything. But I've somehow managed to creep into the top 10 for the marathon just by training more, training harder than everyone, you could say. But there's so many guys out there that could be way better than me at the marathon. Like I shouldn't be in the top 50 in the UK. I shouldn't be in the top 100 even. If all those other guys had ran quicker than me over 5K, if they put in the effort that I did and were as psychotic, then I'm sure they'd be far, far better than me at the marathon. But luckily, that's where the mental side comes in, because I guess that is a talent in itself, and obviously durability as well. I'm fully aware that most people can't handle the mileage that I'm on. So while I might not be blessed with that natural speed, the wheels, I am definitely a certified cart horse. I do have the absolute thunder thighs that help keep me going and able to just consistently knock out the mileage, which I think for the marathon is probably the most important thing. So what I've done is basically just play to my strength. I've played to my talent. The talent isn't the speed. There's no point in me trying to rip some quick trap reps. I'm just not going to get quicker that way, but I know that I can handle big volume and I'm not going to burn out mentally. Like I can put in the time and I'm willing to just grind out the boring mileage, the slow, long, grindy stuff. So I've just got to keep pushing the boundaries and see what's possible, see how far the marathon monk lifestyle can take me. Speaking of which, let's quickly recap how I ended up here living in the middle of Tokyo chasing this running dream. So I pretty much left everything behind 2 years ago, just quit my job, packed up my things and headed out here to Japan, because I was basically willing to take the risk. I felt I had nothing to lose. At that point, I'm a 2:38 marathoner, but I had a delusional dream that I wanted to turn pro and become an elite. And I felt like Japan was the place to be. There were so many good marathoners out here. Like they put the Western runners to shame. The depth here is just ridiculous. Hundreds and hundreds of sub 2:10 guys. So then I was thinking, if I want to get to that level, then surely this is the place to be. But the journey has ended up being a lot more arduous and challenging than expected. I kind of thought when I came out here that I could basically join one of the pro teams, jump in with a whole load of elites that would drag me along. But it's obviously a little bit more exclusive than that. And joining a team, well, it's still a work in progress. Now, obviously, I've managed to make some pretty big jumps, going from a 2:38 marathon when I arrived in Japan to a 2:14 just a year and a half later. But there's been a fair few obstacles on this marathon pilgrimage. I've constantly ran a fine line between those little niggles and a career-ending injury by just pushing through every ache and pain along the way to build the mileage up to ridiculous levels so I can eventually handle 250K weeks, week in, week out. And that's the base right there. That's going to get you 90% of the way to big improvements in the marathon if you can just stay consistent. And ironically, the only thing that broke my huge mileage streak wasn't even a running-related injury. It was the most ridiculous little surgery visit here. You see I've got a nice little scar still on my arm. And I guess it was technically running related. I mean, I tripped over while on a run, but that was just plain stupid. That was nothing to do with running a lot. But one of the problems that did come out of running was the anemia issue. And actually I thought I'd bring that up again, because very annoyingly this week, so I went for a checkup. Every kind of month or so I've been checking my ferritin levels, my iron, because I know with such high mileage, I'm just gonna be so susceptible to it. Like I'm obviously constantly living in that danger zone. And it turns out that my hemoglobin, red blood count, all of that is back in the anemic range. So even though I've managed to bring my ferritin up, and there was a brief period where all my other numbers seemed to be back to normal. And when it was in the normal range, that was when I made the huge improvement. So with Tokyo Marathon, 2:14, Marugame half, 63. Actually, I didn't really gain any fitness for that. So a few months before then, I ran a flat out 69-minute half marathon. And then soon after, Fukuoka Marathon in 2:18. And just after that, I found out that I was anemic. And basically, I don't know how I even pulled those performances out. But then all I really did was correct my iron levels through the IV and the iron supplements. I didn't actually change my training at all. And it was basically just free performance. Because when you are anemic, it's like running with a limiter. Like it just massively wipes you out. And there's just no way you can hit anywhere near the same paces. So it's annoying to know that I'm back in this situation again. And it means whatever times I'm running now, there's no way I'll be able to hit my absolute full potential in this current state. So I need to go back to the doctor, try and sort this out, find out what's the underlying cause. Maybe it is the 1000K months. I wonder if that could be the issue there. But in a way, it's promising that I'm still able to absolutely smash this big mileage. And I feel like I'm still training decent at the moment, but knowing that there's probably 5 free minutes in the marathon that I can gain just by bumping up the hemoglobin, the red blood cell again. But now back to the journey. Well, how does YouTube fit into this pursuit of a pro contract? So the reason I started this YouTube channel in the first place was with the aim of getting sponsored. It was to basically help my journey in getting as good as I could at running. Because the hardest part is to go from semi-elite runner to elite runner. Like, how do you bridge the gap? Because all the full-time pros, the elites, they can just dedicate everything to running. They don't have to work a job. They can recover between training, get the double sessions in. Like, it's the perfect lifestyle for running. But then if you're trying to work 40 hours a week, like most of the runners in the UK, like there's very few pros out there. It's so hard. Like, how are you meant to close the gap when you're at that big a disadvantage? There's no way you're going to be able to get the recovery in, the sleep in, as much time for all the gym work and sessions and everything. So that's why we have a couple guys at the top who are just so far ahead, and then everyone else feel like is at that lower level where they're sort of maybe 220 marathoners to 215, like that kind of range. Whereas I thought, yeah, okay, it's very hard to make a living from running, even if you are like a 210 runner. Whereas if you can boost the socials, push the social media, create some interest around you, then there's gonna be way more chance of getting sponsored. So instead of getting your standard 9-to-5 job, I basically created a startup. That's pretty much what my YouTube channel is. And it gives me the freedom to work around my running, put the running first, and then create videos documenting that journey, showing you the lifestyle, the marathon monk way in Japan. And it's pretty much the perfect balance. I don't think I could be one of these classic pros that literally just run. So you do your morning run, put your feet up for 6 hours or whatever, go out for your second run. It just seems so boring to me. So I like being busy, like I like having stuff going on in the day. It's not like I'm just running, but my life is definitely built around running. That comes first. And YouTube's just a way to support that. So until now, for the last year and a half, I've basically been able to live and train like a pro runner without actually having a pro runner contract. And I've just thrown absolutely everything at this running. Like, I train more than I think 99.9% of runners on earth. Like, almost no one I've seen is putting in the training volume that I am. Like 20 hours of running a week, at least 10 hours of extracurricular activities, the S&C, core plyometrics, the stuff that keeps me injury free and strong, able to hit the monster volume. And finally, all of that hard work is paying off because I've only gone and done it. I've secured the pro contract. So back to you in the studio in Seattle. So as I head overseas, I have to navigate the danger zone of travel in the middle of a 300K week, which is where partnering up with Pillar Performance has been clutch. This is the time when your immune system is at its most vulnerable and those cheeky little bugs can strike out of nowhere. But since moving to Japan, I've literally never had to miss a day of running because of sickness or colds. So I know what you're thinking, how the bloody hell have you done that? Well, I bowed down to the gods of sleep and religiously adhered to my daily dose of supplements. And Pillar Performance's Ultra Immune C has this part covered with the ultimate combo of vitamin C, vitamin D3 and zinc in the form of a tasty beverage. 10 out of 10 on the Squanta Japan scale. If you're going to train like a marathon monk, then you need a weaponly immune system to match, so give Pillar Performance a go. I'll leave a link in the description. You can get 15% off first orders with the code RAN2JAPAN. They've got a range of other supplements made specifically for athletes, like the triple magnesium to help with sleep, and it's all Informed Sport tested to make sure nothing dodgy sneaks in. So now that I've arrived safe and sound in Seattle, let's see what's up. Look at this view. Let me flip it around. Jeez, you don't get this in Tokyo. It's a bit of a change. I've been running all the way around this lake loop, kind of exploring. I feel like I'm getting close to completing Seattle. Only been here a few days, but yeah, I've got a good amount of running in. I'm making the most of it as well with this weather because it's so nice. Compared to Tokyo, I'm thinking by the time I get back, there's no way I'm gonna be ripping sessions. It's like 35 today back home in Tokyo. So I've got a marathon workout tomorrow, squeezing in a little triple day today, hit a triple day yesterday, long run on the weekend. So it's a business trip, but realistically, we're getting the training in. It's a mini training camp. So let's get a bit of a training update. Well, recently, with me training in Japan in these brutal conditions, it's been almost impossible to see what actual shape I'm in because all the times are so much slower. Like, it doesn't matter whether you run at 5 a.m. or 9 p.m., it's gonna be 30 degrees regardless because of the humidity. So I've had to adjust all my paces, but I was hoping when I came over here to Seattle that then it would feel like absolute light work. I'd be flying. And it's definitely been a whole lot easier, but I was gonna hit a big marathon session at the end of Seattle to try and use that as a sort of marathon indicator to see where I'm at for Gold Coast. So the plan had been 3 by 8K with 2K float recoveries, so that 30K in total, aiming to hit the 8Ks at marathon pace. But I was absolutely cooked after just 2 out of 3 reps and had to call it there. Like, I was finished. So I only managed a pathetic 2 by 8K in 3:15 pace, which is around a 2:17, 2:18 marathon, with the 2K floats at 3:39 and 3:32. So it added up to 20K, averaging 3:20. And I can't even use the heat and humidity as an excuse this time. But perhaps I can get away with using the 300K week as an excuse, because I guess my legs might have been a little bit tired. But what does this mean for Gold Coast Marathon now? How am I trending? What's the prediction? How about a little change of scene as we talk through this training block? I thought, why not do it on a boat in the Gold Coast? That's a sneak preview of next week's video, the race one. So as you know, I partnered up with the app Kaizen, and that's been a bit of a game changer for this block, especially with how disrupted it's been. It's mean that I still have a decent idea of what shape I'm in. So we can see on the 10th of May for Copenhagen Marathon, I was in about 2:16 shape, and that had been based on averaging nearly 200K a week in the build up to that. And then a few weeks on the sideline, and that slow rebuild knocked me right back down. So as of the Sunday before the race, that's when you take the pre-race prediction on Kaizen. They've got me here in around 220, 221 shape. So my average K per week was down in 170. Pathetic compared to the usual. I'd wanted it to be way up, like 250K a week. And there was some big weeks in there, but it was just so inconsistent with the huge drop in the middle. Now, obviously the prediction's good, but I don't have to use it as gospel. It's not the absolute be all and end all, but it has the data there, and that's the rough kind of shape I think I'm coming in at. So in the next video, the actual race one, where I'll be recording right here from the Gold Coast, that's what I'm gonna give the actual game plan, the target, what I'm gonna be aiming for, but I'll definitely be using that Kaizen prediction. And if you wanna try it out yourself, then you can get that extended free trial with my code RAN2JAPAN, and you can use it throughout the block as well to guide the train harder approach that we all know is the only way. All right, it's finally time. I feel like I've built up the anticipation, the hype. I've teased people for long enough. This is the big reveal. So the brand that I will be signing a pro contract with is Brooks. So finally, we've got a brand that see the vision, that get the value of the Ran to Japan army in this YouTube channel. Because I think a lot of these big brands are just clueless as to the power of social media and how you can build that following and the storytelling through stuff like YouTube. So some other unnamed brands have said stuff like, yeah, if you're not running a 2:05 marathon, then they don't care. Even though you think all of these top guys, the top runners, you see them for what? 2 hours a year for that marathon, maybe on a podium, and that's it. We don't know their stories, we don't know their name. Even someone like me, like, I love running, but I couldn't name any of the last podium, like world marathon majors, because we just know absolutely nothing about them. So do you really think that's selling your shoes? But luckily the legends at Brooks are forward thinking, and they've seen, yeah, that we've got everyone watching these videos, the absolute heroes that are subscribed to this channel. And so I'm joining the Brooks roster. Whoa, it's legendary stuff. All right, so what does this Brooks deal actually look like then? Because I'm in a pretty unique position where I'm not being sponsored just for my athletics, but I'm also being covered for the influencer side. Because if you think about it, if I was just a 2:14 marathoner, no social media, no YouTube presence, then there's no way I'd have got signed. So it's actually thanks to you guys watching these videos that I have managed to pull this off. And my contract is basically split. So between the performance side, the running, like obviously trying to improve, get faster over the marathon, they've seen, I guess, the potential there. that I've in a pretty short window increased my times, and I think I've got a whole much more to come. Like, I'm going to keep climbing the British rankings and hopefully aim to like represent GB in the future. But right now the YouTube is definitely carrying me as well, so I'm also going to be putting out videos, and this isn't the end of the YouTube channel. So hopefully the Brooks contract just helps to legitimize what I'm doing, and I guess calling yourself a pro runner is pretty cool. That's always been the dream, but I want to get to the point where I feel like I've earned that contract through purely performance alone, and even without the YouTube I'd still be able to get sponsored. So yeah, I am now making a full-time living through running, but in my eyes, to be seen as an elite runner, I've got to break that 210 barrier. That elusive goal, that is what I'm working towards, because when you look at the other pro runners on the Brooks roster, all of those guys have dipped under 210. So I want to properly earn my place on that lineup by also demolishing the 210 barrier, hopefully later this year. If it doesn't come then we'll just keep working towards it. I'm in it for the long run. I'm going to give absolutely everything I can to try and get there. So follow along on this channel as the journey continues. But this has been Jake with Run to Japan. I'll see you in the next one. Remember, train harder, not smarter.